In this video, you're going to learn how you can get a spreadsheet with habits like this and create a Streamlit application that uses ChatGPT and LangChain in order to generate your schedule and help you chat with it for more effective time management. And you can see that when I ask my schedule to move book reading to 30 minutes after workout, you'll see that I'm using ChatGPT and LangChain on the background. And as a response, now the book reading is scheduled at 14:30 instead of the original schedule. Hey everyone, my name is Venelin, and in this video we're going to answer the question, can you use ChatGPT to chat with your schedule? We're going to see how you can use LangChain along with ChatGPT within a Streamlit application in order to create a schedule from a set of habits with some predefined schedule dates or days of the week and preferred start times. I'm going to show you how you can wrap all of this right within a nice Streamlit application, how you can load a Google Sheet for the habits itself, and then how you can actually ask questions about your schedule and make sure that LangChain and ChatGPT are changing your schedule according to your questions. I'm going to show you how you can split the difficulty of the tasks into multiple prompts since you want to get much better results compared to just simple prompting. And I'm going to show you the final product within a nice demo where we can see the capabilities. The project itself is going to be open source, and I'm going to link the source code to GitHub when this is done down in the comments. Also, I'm going to link the demo so you can play around with it. And let's get started. This is the habit data format that we're going to use throughout this video. And you can see that it is actually pretty simple. We have the name of the habit, the days on which you need to schedule those habits. For example, we have book reading daily, and then we have some specific dates for example, workout and walking the dog. So it's not that simple to understand this schedule from here, at least. And then we have preferred time. You can see that we have a mix of exact time and also some slots such as evening, afternoon, morning, etc. Also, we have a duration for each habit in minutes. And then I've also added two more fields that we are actually not going to use throughout this video. And the first one is the easiness of completion, where this varies from 1 to 10. And then the importance, how important this activity or habit is. One of the most important components of building this time management application is the actual prompt that we're going to use. And from my experiments, I've seen that when you try to do very complex tasks, even ChatGPT and GPT-4 are failing. So here is an example, and I'm going to show you how I've effectively tried to solve or overcome this problem. So here I'm giving this prompt and I'm asking for scheduling of some habits, and I've tried very different formats for this, including Markdown, JSON, etc. And here I have workouts, and I have all of the habits essentially, writing tutorial, walking the dog, etc. So I'm asking from ChatGPT to create a schedule for Monday, and I'm saying that it shouldn't include habits that are not scheduled for Monday. And this is the schedule that is given by ChatGPT according to this prompt, of course. You can see that we have tutorial writing and then walking the dog, but unfortunately, reading the book, which is every evening, which should be scheduled every day, is not included into this schedule. So I'm going to show you how I did solve this problem when we talk about the code of the project. I have the Mastery List GPT project opened up in Visual Studio Code. And in here, you can see that we have three of the most important files. We have the main.py, which is the Streamlit application. We have a scheduler where all of the magic according to LangChain and ChatGPT is happening. And also I have this common.py file. I'm going to start with this one actually. So in here, you can see that we have two classes. The first one is a data class that contains all of the to-do items for our scheduler. And the next one, since I'm using Python 3.11, you can see that I'm using a string enum. And in this case, I'm working with a day of the week or creating a day of the week enum, which contains, of course, all of the days of the weeks from Monday to Sunday. So this is what common.py is using or having. So the next is the main.py. And here we are essentially getting all of the UI for the Streamlit application. So the first and most important thing right here is the sidebar. And for the sidebar itself, I'm going to show you what we have thus far. So this is the part right here. And here I'm showing the input for the OpenAI API key, then the Google Sheets URL, which is this one right here. Let me show you. Yeah. So we have this. Yeah. This is the input. And then we have a representation of the data frame. And then we have a picker for Wednesday or the day of the week. You can see all the days of the week. And then we have this button generate schedule. So in order to have a better look at the code, I'm going to switch back to it. And you see that we have the data frame with the habits. Then we have the selection box and then the generate schedule button. Also on the or outside of the sidebar, I am adding this ToDO list, which is essentially the text that we had at the front. And the other thing is the title. And then we have this list of to-dos in our case. And then we have the chat option where you can essentially chat with your schedule. And all of this is provided right within here. So we have the subheader for the schedule. Then we're printing or adding all of the to-do items along with the checkbox. And then we have the chat input, which is a rather newer item according to Streamlit. And then otherwise, if your schedule is empty, you're getting this message. So this is pretty much it for the UI part. And here we have a couple of helper functions. We have onload Google Sheets, which essentially takes the URL from the input, replaces it with the format CSV so we can load it within a pandas data frame. And then we're loading this data frame right here. Next, we have two other helpers. The first one is on generate schedule, which is executed when the generate schedule button is pressed. And here you can see that we're actually calling the create schedule method from the scheduler with the habits and then with the current day of the week that is selected. Also, I have on update schedule method, which gets the question from the input down below or the chat input. And then we're calling update schedule with this question and the current to-do list. So what is happening within the scheduler.py? Here you can see that we have a lot of LangChain imports and we have pandas, etc. So the first thing that I'm doing here is this method or function right here called create schedule. In order to fix the problem of not correctly scheduling the habits for each specified days, I am breaking down the task into two separate prompts. So on a high level overview, what I'm doing is to first decide whether or not each habit should be scheduled for this specific day of the week. And after I get those, I'm parsing the output, and then I'm filtering only the scheduled habits. After this is done, I am running another prompt, which is essentially taking the already scheduled or decided to schedule habits, and I am essentially adding the prompt that is telling it to schedule according to the preferred time and the duration of the habit. So I'm first filtering the habits that need to be scheduled for this day, and then I'm applying the preferred time and the duration with the second prompt. So we are doing the prompting twice in order to generate the schedule. And then finally, I'm parsing the output. of course, it is a bit, let's say, cumbersome to parse the output of an LLM. And a lot of you are actually are asking, how do you parse the output and why does my LLM provide this output? And the reality is that even a slight change within your prompt and even a slight change in your parameters can produce some strange results when outputting the prompts or the results. And it is, let's say, it can be hard to prompt and then parse the outputs of this model, these types of models. So I'm going to show what I'm doing right here. First, let's see what find scheduled habits does. And it is essentially taking the habit names, then reversing and starting from the bottom by splitting the lines of the response. Then I'm taking the habits from this line and I am checking if the scheduled habits are a superset or all of the habits are a superset of the scheduled habits. But you can see that I'm expecting a comma separated response for each line. So in order to get to better understand what is happening, I'm going to show you also the prompt for this one. So here is the prompt, habits for scheduling in Markdown, and then I'm giving the Markdown table. Given that today is day of the week, decide whether each habit should be scheduled for today using the schedule days. So this is let's say, or it is a column from the table. And I'm giving it an example, which is very important. And your responses should always end with a list of comma-separated scheduled habits on a new line. And then I'm giving another example. So 2 times in this prompt, I'm actually giving examples on how to format the response. And even though I'm doing this, not every time this is working out. It, of course, depends a lot more on the prompt itself. And then the final part is to ask ChatGPT to think step by step. This, at least in what I've seen and what I've read in a couple of papers, is helping a lot. And I can see that when I'm asking this, it is providing you with some sort of explanation. And then it looks like that the scheduled habits are actually better or more accurate compared to when you don't ask this from ChatGPT. So this is pretty practical. And of course, you're getting more output, so you have to pay a bit more. But at least in what I've seen in this project, it is much better and it is working better according to the performance that I'm getting from the responses. So now that the first part is done, and I've found my scheduled habits, I'm checking whether or not we have some scheduled habits. And if we don't, I'm just returning an empty list. Otherwise, I'm selecting just those habits and I'm prompting with the scheduled habits name, preferred time, and duration. And here I'm using another template, which is called schedule habits template. And this is a bit different. I recall that we already have the filtered out habits. So now I'm starting with you're an expert personal assistant responsible for managing individual schedules, assign start and end time for each habit from the markdown table. And I'm giving the markdown table for the habits. And then I'm specifying the output format that I want this schedule to be in. So I have 24-hour format for the start and end of the habit. And I say that I wake up at 8 and finish my day at 21:30. So this should prompt the model to put everything right within those times. And then I'm saying that each habit must be scheduled exactly once. I want it sorted by the start time. And then I again ask it to think step by step. So after this is done, I'm doing another parsing, which is this function right here, parse ToDO items. And here you can see that I'm also creating the chain that is going to execute this, and I'm passing in the responses or the parameters for it. It is pretty straightforward once you know the basics of LangChain. And if you don't, please check my other videos on LangChain basics. So to parse the ToDO items, I'm doing something very similar to what I did in the finding the scheduled habits, I'm again reversing the order of the wines, and I'm finding the responses one by line. And I'm matching essentially for the format that I'm giving in right here using this regular expression. And this regular expression, funnily enough, was written for me by ChatGPT, but it appears to be working. And I'm finding all of the matches within the line. And since I'm starting from the end, if we have a match, I'm recording that we have a match, and then I'm creating this to-do item for this match. And if I don't have a match, and if I've already matched, and since this means that the schedule is now done, I'm breaking from the cycle, and then I'm returning the reversed items again, since I'm iterating from the back. And I do that because sometimes ChatGPT is adding multiple locations with the schedule, and I want just the final one. So I'm usually asking that I want the schedule to be added at the end. So hopefully this works. Of course, you can't always be sure with those models. And after this is done, I'm pretty much returning the list of to-do items. And here you can see what you might get. So this is the final to-do items that were scheduled from this. And next, the interesting part here is the update schedule. So every time I'm using this part right here on the schedule or the chat, we are calling actually this function called update schedule. And this is taking a list of to-dos and then the question itself. Again, I'm creating a chain and another prompt. I'm joining the to-do items, and then I'm running the question and the to-do items through the large language model chain, again with ChatGPT, and I'm parsing in the result. So what is happening within this template or prompt? So this is a bit more involved. As an expert personal assistant responsible for schedules, and I'm giving in the list of the two items. The schedule uses 24-hour format and is formatted as such. So I'm giving the format of the items, and I wanted to change the schedule according to the question that I'm giving in. I again ask it to think step by step and to reply with the updated schedule at the end. So after all of this is done, I'm returning the new to-do list, and this is in fact now the new schedule. So this is pretty much all of the code right here. And another important thing, of course, if you want to deploy this on Streamlit Cloud, is to have the requirements. I'm going to upload the complete GitHub, the complete project on GitHub, so you don't have to essentially rewrite everything that you've seen on the screen. But I've just wanted to give you a nice explanation on why everything is happening and what is happening under the hood. Now that we've seen how the complete application works, let's try it out. I'm going to start with something really simple. I'm going to add something to this list or my schedule for Thursday. Add taking a bath at, let's say, 15 for 15 minutes. And if I run this, this is going to actually create a LLM chain, execute the prompt against this schedule, and you can see that we are doing this. It is added. So let's see that I want to move take a bath after workout is complete. 10 minutes after workout is complete. Let's see what we have. So we have now the take a bath is starting at 14:10, right after the workout is complete. And let's say that today I'm not going to actually walk the dog. So I want to delete walk the dog task. And let's see if the schedule is correctly updated. It looks like it. So it is appear to be working very good. Of course, we are not persisting anything right now, but this might be done in a future video. In this video, we've seen how you can use a Google Sheet and LangChain along with ChatGPT right within a Streamlit application in order to effectively manage your time or schedule your habits. And we've seen how we can create the schedule itself using two separate prompts. I've essentially divided the task of scheduling into whether or not you need this habit for this specific day, and then choose the start and end time for each habit. And after that, we've also added the capability to update the schedule along with a chat that we are going to execute against the schedule itself. And we've seen that actually this is pretty effective, and it is very understandable of the whole schedule itself. I've shown you how you can reference different schedules or different items right within a schedule, how you can add and remove items. Of course, it would be great if all of this was persisted. So if you want to see a complete app or a complete product, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm going to show you the complete source code, which is going to be open source on GitHub, and I'm going to include a link to that when this is done. I'm also going to write a free tutorial that will be available on ML Expert if you want to have a look at the complete process of building this application. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, join the Discord channel that I'm going to link down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.